Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Education 101. I'm Carol Birdsong, Communications Director for Williamson County Schools. And this is a special edition of this program where we are getting to know school board members of Williamson County Schools. And joining me in the hosting responsibilities is Superintendent Dr. Mike Looney, and our guest for the next 30 minutes is Mark Gregory, who represents District 11 in Williamson County. So Mark, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, now my questions are much easier than Dr. Looney's questions. I'm just preparing you right off the bat.
I'm not sure that's a fair statement.
First of all, before we get into the really tough questions, let's talk about the area that you represent in District 11 first off.
All right. First of all, I had no idea this was 30 minutes, but we'll get into that later. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't think you're going to have any trouble at all.
District 11 is a lovely part of the county. It incorporates all of downtown Franklin, which is really cool to have that in your district, but also some of the larger subdivisions in South Franklin. Dallas Downs, Polk Place, Sullivan Farms, where we live. And the census of 2010 actually grew District 11, and so I now go all the way down Lewisburg to Keystone and incorporate those guys as well.
Okay. So you actually touch a couple, like Centennial High School, you represent to a degree, yes?
I have kids going to high schools and middle schools and elementary schools all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to say I represent these schools.
Because you have bits and pieces of...
Right.
Your area is one of the larger areas of the...
I don't know that geographically it's larger because I have downtown Franklin.
That's true. Yeah.
But kids go all over the place. I guess within the geography of District 11, the main schools are Winstead, Oakview, and Centennial High School.
Okay. Okay, very good. How long have you served on the school board, Mark?
Not as long as Gary, but longer than everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm actually just about to complete 11 years.
Okay, very good. And family-wise, your girls have gone through Williamson County Schools, right?
They have. They are all now official graduates of Williamson County Schools. Our youngest graduated this, I guess, 2 Saturdays ago from Centennial High School. But we moved to Williamson County, like so many people, for the schools. Because we lived in South Nashville, and when we had our third little girl, her crib was in my office in our little house. And so we had our oldest was in kindergarten at Ezel Harding Christian School. And so we just ran the numbers and said, hey, we need to find a place to live where they can go to public school. And Williamson County was far and away the only choice. And so we moved here for the schools.
So I have a question, Mark. You happen to have been at some of the graduation ceremonies that I was at, and you had the real unique experience to be on stage when your daughter was graduating.
Wow.
What was that like?
I actually had the opportunity to be on stage when all 3 of my girls walked across the stage. And to be able to hug them and just tell them you love them and congratulate them, it's really a special opportunity of being a board member to be able to do that. And I appreciate the opportunity to be up there. And then also, our girls are very friendly, so they have lots of friends.
Well, I noticed that about half of the kids knew you. They were hugging you, and I thought it was because they were so athletic. Your children were athletic and involved in the sport, so it seemed like a lot of them were athletes coming up and fist bumping you and high fiving you. And
it was very special, and I really enjoyed it, and it's a memory I always have.
Oh, very nice, very nice. But you've been involved not only as a board member, but as a parent. You've been a very involved parent with your girls' education. Yes. And talk about how important it is for parents to be involved in the educational process of their children.
I think it's what makes Williamson County Schools, what makes them as successful as they are. It's the parents that live here. If you think about it, if people make a decision to move to a school district because of the schools, then they're actively involved in those kids' education. They make sure they get on the bus or they get to school. They make sure they come home after school. They make sure they do their homework. They make sure they associate with the right friends because they're concerned about their kids and their education. And if we marry that with good administration and great teachers, I mean, it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy of excellent schools.
It really is. I was amazed at, we did some research for the school. They asked the question, how much revenue do PTOs generate in our district, and the figure that was brought forward was $7 million of money raised by parents here in Williamson County Schools, and that's money that the taxpayers don't have to pay out of taxes, as the parents are contributing that. It's just amazing the support that we get. Now, Mark, you speaking of leadership and involvement, you're actually leading a very important committee for the school board right now that deals with athletics. How's that going? And you know, give us a little window into that work.
Sure. The athletics committee is charged with enhancing athletics across the district. And it's really not focusing on facilities. We've had 2 facilities committees in the past, athletics facilities committees, in the recent past, I guess going back to the mid-90s. We'll ask Gary about the ones before that.
The historian.
But this committee is really focused on what can we do to enhance athletics in our district. And so we'll have another meeting hopefully before the next work session next week. And I'm going to ask the committee members to come up with 2 to 3 ideas that can change the way athletics is perceived and enjoyed in the district.
That's awesome.
So
that's
I'm
awesome.
excited about it, and we may come up with ideas that are impossible, but at least it'll be out there, and it'll be something to talk about and think about, and then we can blame the county commission for not funding it.
Well,
I'm sure they appreciate that. Are you talking about TSSAA athletics? Are you going in intramurals, or?
We'll see what the committee comes back with recommendations. It could be one or the other or both.
It's really interesting to see people bring fresh ideas to the table and talk about, one, how do we improve the quality? We have quality athletic programs.
Yes.
But one, how do we improve the quality? And then 2, how do we give more access to kids? You know, there are so many kids. You know, there are 11 starters on the football team, and so obviously everybody can't be a starter.
Right.
But how do we provide more opportunities for boys and girls to pursue you know, that area of potential development, which is, I'm really thankful for the committee's work. It's going to be interesting to see what y'all come up with. You know, we had speaking of athletes, we had somebody that won an amazing bowling scholarship this year to a good university, and, you know, who would have ever thought it, you know, bowling.
Right.
So there's all kinds of potential out there.
We had 12 state championships at Spring Fling. That was pretty
Wow,
good.
yeah.
So
That's amazing.
district and
That's
individual
amazing.
state championships. So that was not bad for good haul for the springtime.
Now, Mark, you're doing something else very special that very few people get to do. You're taking a little trip. You're going on a boat ride.
I'm going on quite an adventure, I believe. I was very fortunate to be invited to go represent Williamson County with the Department of Defense and the Navy. Looks like June 25th, we'll be flying to Norfolk, Virginia, and we'll be flying directly out to an aircraft carrier at sea. And we'll land at sea, and then we'll spend a night or maybe 2 on the aircraft carrier. I believe it's the Eisenhower, the USS Eisenhower. I believe it was commissioned in the early 2000s.
So you're actually going to land on the ship, one of the ships at sea.
Yes, I'll be a passenger, but we will land on the ship. And
that's the plan anyways, right?
yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I'm very excited about it. I don't know what type of aircraft will take us out there yet. One of 2 things, an airplane or a helicopter, we'll find out. And I'm just great that you put it out there to us, and that I was able to
well, you're one of those,
invitation.
you know, every year when we do our military celebration, you're always excited about it, and are, you know, one of the first to sign up, and I thought it would be very appropriate for you to go represent our school district and have that experience.
I appreciate that.
We have a lot of students that choose to enter the military when leaving Williamson County Schools, whether it's through JROT or through our ROTC program, or directly enlisting into the service. And I'm really excited that we take a moment in our district to pause for those students and say thank you. And even at the graduation ceremonies, all of our schools have come to the point now where we highlight those individuals joining the service and give them some additional recognition. So thank you for doing that.
I believe that if we had a crystal or a magic wand and we could wave it, I think every kid should spend 2 years in the military right out of high school. I think it'd be great for them. I wish I had done it.
Well, as you know, I'm a former Marine, so I don't know that I disagree with you at all. It was a great experience.
We'll put that down on the agenda.
Aside from the, you know, you being at the graduation ceremony, looking back at this last academic year, we did a lot of amazing things. Our academic achievements continue to sail and accelerate, and there's so many wonderful things. What's kind of a highlight or two that comes to your mind when you kind of reflect on last school year?
It would have to be the growth in ACT scores. I was at Centennial High School yesterday talking to Principal Webb, and she said they grew 0.8.
Wow.
And they're at a 23.1.
That is unheard of.
It is unheard of. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Had
yeah.
2 36s, one from a junior. It's just absolutely amazing to see that kind of growth in an area that's not easy to grow.
Right, right.
And other districts around the state notice what we do, especially in that area, because that's very measurable.
Yeah.
And to see that, I'm just extremely
Don't
pleased with
isn't
that.
like 1/10? Isn't that
Well,
just
the
like
commissioner was in town very
fabulous?
recently, and she actually talked about, she was at the Chamber of Commerce and talked about the phenomenal growth that we've been experiencing over the last several years in Williamson County on ACT, and the researchers tell you that 1/10 of a point growth on ACT is statistically significant. So for Dr. Webb and her staff
Right.
to get
That's
to a 0.8 in
wonderful
1
for
year,
Centennial.
and I just want to, that school is doing amazing things academically.
They are.
It's just got a vibe of excitement and enthusiasm and academic
You
focus.
talked about $7 million from the PTO, which is fantastic. The senior class 2015 at Centennial was offered $23 million in scholarships.
That's great.
Wow,
That's great.
$23 million.
That's
And they're going
great.
to some of the most prestigious colleges
Absolutely.
and universities in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right here in Williamson
Good
County.
old
It's-
SEC schools. So.
I think there weren't any University of Alabama
Oh, God.
students there going there. Or,
I know some Centennial students who go to Alabama, so yeah, we are covered there.
but
We
I'm
are
in
covered.
Tennessee, so UT is a close second in my book.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You know what? When we talk about parental involvement too, though, the parents at Centennial and that holiday show
It's
That-
the Arts and Crafts Fair right
Oh, my
before
goodness.
Thanksgiving every year.
that they put
It's
on,
amazing.
It
is
is
amazing.
that group. They are a well-oiled machine. I
They
tell
are.
you what.
It's 2
And-
days, and all that money goes back into the classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Every dollar they raise goes right back into the classrooms.
and they raise a ton
Yes,
for
I'm
that
sure.
school. I
I'm
mean,
sure.
they do a fabulous job with that event.
I
So
bought
we'll
plenty of
go ahead
pies
and plug
there.
them now.
That's right, plug 'em
for,
now.
for November. Mark your calendar
Yeah, we've
for
got
the Centennial
that,
Holiday
and
Show.
we've got the arts or the infothons coming up,
Infothons
and,
coming up.
in July. And I know that you came last year. Let me ask you this, Mark. Let's talk about budget for a moment. You've been on the board for a long time, and so you bring a lot of context and historical knowledge to the table. And this year, first of all, thank you for your support of the school district's pay raise for all of our employees of 5%. We kind of approached that in an unprecedented way this year. We were told no pay raise, but the board stepped up to the plate and
Right.
said, we hear you, county commissioners, we respect you, but our teachers and our employees deserve a 5% raise. And so thank you for doing that. But talk about where you think we are situated on the school budget, and what are the things that come to your mind about the budgeting process and how we continue to manage the growth that's coming to our school district?
In the past, I had the impression that under previous administrations that the budget was fluffed a bit going to the county commission because there was a feeling that it's going to be cut. They're going to cut it, so they would artificially inflate it. When you came aboard, we actually talked about that.
Right.
I said, let's just show them what we need.
Yeah.
Here's what we need. And we went through some hard times there at the start because they were used to that.
Right.
They were used to us presenting more than we need.
Yeah.
And so now I think we've fine-tuned it, and it's gone a lot smoother. It's not easy
Right.
because we do spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you look at what we spend per student, we're below the state average
Right.
with
right.
scores that blow everybody away.
Right.
And it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, if
with
you're in the
that kind of
financial
success.
business, that's a good return on your
That's
investment.
a great
isn't it?
return on your investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm in a budget that big, people will say, "Oh, you can pull $1 million out here or $1 million out there," but when you've already pulled $1 million out here or $1 million out there, I mean, and I used to think that when I first got on the board, I said, "Oh, we can cut 10% or we can cut 3%. Just do it." Well, when you go at it from a business perspective and you do it right on the front end, there's really not a lot of leeway to do that.
You're absolutely right, and I appreciate your leadership on that. I have never believed that it's a good idea to artificially inflate the budget and go into the budgeting process prepared to negotiate. We really aren't in a position to negotiate about the
we're not.
budget. We present the budget that we think we need to be successful and continue our success, and the school board stands behind that, like you did this year, this budget process. The pay raise being an example of it, So that's awesome. But we're going to continue to grow.
Yes.
More families are going to continue to move into our area. In fact, you have a subdivision that might be its own city that's being developed down in your neck of the woods.
That'd be Berry Farms.
Berry Farms, and so that's going to put additional pressure on the budget and school buildings and growth. How do we manage all that? I mean,
The best way to manage it would be to build a middle school in South Franklin.
somewhere around Oakview.
Somewhere
you
in
have
that
been
area.
working on that for years. You really have.
Well, if you think about it, that's the one thing that District 11, District 12, probably some of District 2 would really benefit from. And it would help long-term in the planning for long-term zoning lines.
Yeah.
There's not a middle school in Franklin. People say, oh, Grassland. I said, well, you put that mailbox on the other side of the building, it's a Brentwood address.
Right.
I mean, it's not really considered.
Well, I 100% agree with you. If you know, and Mr. Galbraith was speaking to us earlier. If we're going to get to a place where we truly work towards better feeder patterns in our district, we're going to have a middle school, a Williamson County Schools middle school feed Centennial High School, and so I agree with you. It's just a matter of where and how do we pay for it and when and that sort of thing. And so I agree with you.
But if we built it, we would fill it. But it would change the movement of several schools, and you know that you've looked at it.
Sure would.
But it would be such a long-term blessing to the folks there because our district travels quite a ways to go to middle school.
Yeah. You know, so if anybody has 40 or so acres that they want to donate to the school district that has sewer and water, and is interested in donating to a worthy cause, and that's to the development of middle school children in
there you go.
South Central Franklin, then please step up to the plate.
Step forward.
Call Mark. He'll take care of it.
Yes.
He'll get it all worked out for us. Mark, you've been on the board a while now. What's been most surprising to you over the years as far as serving as a school board member?
Probably that the vast majority of people have no idea who their school board rep is, or who their state rep is, who their state senators are, or that we even have them. The total terrible turnout for elections, it's embarrassing. That 6 to 8, 10% of people vote on local elections. The things that matter most in their lives, in their day-to-day lives, they don't even know what's going on. And I think that's a shame, and that's disappointing and surprising to me that more people don't know. I love to vote. I've been turned away before because I went and I was out of my district one time. She looked, I wasn't on the list. The little old lady, she fussed at me. She goes, "You can't vote in this." So, well,
you know, it is amazing in a county as affluent as we are
and as educated
as we are that we have less than a 10% turnout generally on elections, and
just
particularly
amazing.
local elections where the work that gets done matters most, in my opinion.
Well, it really your school board election can determine if you turn left or right when you leave your driveway in the morning.
Yeah, that's right.
It really can. It has that big of an impact on your day-to-day life.
And one of the things that I struggle with, and being your CEO, is talking to the people that don't have children in our school system, and so they kind of feel like, well, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have kids in the school. I'm not affected by the school board decision. But I don't think anything could be further from the truth. I mean, if you really think about it, the school board has an amazing responsibility, and the decisions that y'all make really impact the vitality of a community in huge ways. Zoning, handling growth, debt, all those the kind of curriculum that we teach boys and girls. It's amazing.
Well, and when you listen to Mayor Rogers Anderson speak or Matt Largen at the Chamber of Commerce, they say that Williamson County Schools, our school district, is the economic driver for this county. And so the decisions that are made by the school board certainly drive that. So
I agree with that. And the county commission has a big role to play in that as well. As the funding body for the schools, they have to be very involved, and they are. And we certainly appreciate their support.
Yeah. So if we can get the local folks more engaged and perhaps the state and the federal folks a little bit more disengaged, we might be in business.
Sounds great.
It's been public education. It's been an interesting time in the last 4 or 5 years because we have so many people from the outside trying to make their voices heard and influence what we're doing, and the reality is the ground is fertile because so many local folks are disengaged in the process.
Right.
And so
not that don't have bad intentions.
Oh, absolutely right.
But it's just how to go about things. But there's some things that I'm challenged with. Our youngest daughter had some friends over a few weeks ago, and they were up in her room doing girl stuff. And so I walked in, was talking to them, and they said, "Oh, where's Jordan?" They asked me, "Where's Jordan?" I said, "Well, it's in the Middle East." They had no idea. They clueless. Where was the Middle East? And so I said, "Girls, it's in the Middle East." I had to go get a globe out of my office and bring it upstairs and give them a geography lesson. Here's what happened. Then I talked about when Hitler was expanding through Europe. I said, "Here's what he did," and boom, boom, boom. I said, "Didn't y'all take geography?" And they said, "Well, yeah, we think it's like."
Well,
how do they not know that?
Well, I'll tell you. I think one of what's happening over time is we're asking our students to learn so much more information, even from when we were in school. So we're just piling it on, and so what kids are doing, unfortunately, is they're memorizing for the test. And so they're not, because we don't have time to go deep and really understand the story behind history and geography, because there really is a story about the movement of people. I agree with you. I mean, we expect our students to acquire so much more information. They say that science, our science knowledge doubles every 2 years, which is amazing to me. I mean, I don't know how you do it, but when I went to the Google World Headquarters recently and found out about their contact lens that measures, diabetes levels in people, it's amazing the changes in technology and that our kids have to be prepared for when they graduate and go on to University of Tennessee or University of Alabama or wherever they might decide
But there's
to
some
go.
things that never change that they need to know as
That's
well.
right. That's right. I agree with you.
Math, of course, is one of them that we have to suffer with, but then there's things like geography and history.
Right.
Unless revisionists get a hold of history, history is history. And I think it's intriguing and wonderful to learn about those things. I enjoy it immensely.
Mark, you were engaged in the strategic planning process, been driving the school board's work for the last several years since 2010, and we've accomplished a lot of those goals. What do you think is on the horizon for us to be the forecasted future for us in Williamson County? What do you see as the big challenges or the big things that are going to be, things that we deal with moving forward, maybe in the next year or two, or even further out if you want to go that far?
I would see probably in the lines of the arts and athletics. We have room to grow there. I mean, the arts performances are incredible, and now with the new auditoriums that we've built for most of the schools, that'll give them an opportunity to really excel at their practice there. Athletics, we have a long way to go in taking it to the national level, if that's what we want to do. We're competing academically, we're starting to get there, and we'll continue to go there. I think we have a real opportunity to grow in those other peripheral areas, if you will, not really peripheral, but outside of academics, to really do some great things.
Well, you just made a lot of people happy.
Oh, really?
A lot of people that want to focus on arts and athletics. It's part of our strategic plan. It's two of the prongs, the 3 prongs, and so you just made a lot of people happy. You just, in some way, reaffirmed that our strategic plan is putting us on the right track and we have the right vision moving forward. And
Well, I think so. We may need to tweak it a little bit, especially with so many new board members as to when we came up with the plan. But the basic parameters there were developed by the community. Tons of community involvement. I've never seen so many blue dots and orange dots and red dots, little things. But that's where that came from. And so it has validity in that it came from the community that we serve. But we could redo it maybe and take the pictures off, since 10 of those people are no longer on the board. So.
Yeah. We're actually working on it. On that right
I think we took that page. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. I know communication is important to you, and you try to make yourself available and accessible to your constituents. Tell folks how you can be reached.
I used to send out a little newsletter about once a month, or depending on what was going on, maybe more often. But I was using my personal email address, and so I had 400 or 500 names in that bank. And so I was instructed or asked by legal not to use our personal email addresses. So I struggled with the WCS email. You can't put more than 50 names in a group, and I worked with it, and it was just impossible. I don't like Facebook. I don't like social media.
But you do have a Facebook account now.
I do.
You don't like it, but you got one.
I don't know how to get to it. I couldn't tell you how to get to it.
Well, I think I'm following you, Mark.
Are you? Well, I'll post something on it if I can remember how to do that. But I do put things on that page when I can find it about what's going on, and I'll talk about this trip to Virginia on there. I will, because I'm looking forward to that. But we talked about the most response I've received from anything was about delaying start times for middle and high school students. That was an overwhelming response. I guess people forwarded and posted or whatever, but it went around wherever it goes. And
Yeah, I think it actually went viral.
So I'm looking forward to that discussion continuing.
But you go speak at I mean, if a parent-teacher organization wanted you to come speak to their group, you're more than willing to do that as well.
I'd love to do that. I'd be happy to do that.
So they just need to reach out to you.
Sure.
Mark's kind of one of those board members that likes building relationships, I think, and you enjoy coffee meetings and one-on-one meetings and small group meetings. And,
Yes. I had one this morning before this. So.
Yeah, you were telling me that. That's great.
So people can reach you, and you're willing to come out and meet and
Sure.
and chat as well. So.
And we certainly won't agree on everything, but that doesn't mean we can't meet to have a cup of coffee or cold beer after work. I'm up for either one.
Okay. Also, I want to say that you also were at the Infothon, and our Infothon is Saturday, July 25th. I'll give it a plug right now. At the Cool Springs Galleria. It's a great time to meet and greet, and we hope that you will also be there as well this year.
I look forward to it. Last year it was awesome. It was amazing to have everything there at one time, and I hope we can promote it and get lots of people to come out, because it was an infothon. I mean, there was tons of stuff
information overload, right?
Yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great day. Lots of good stuff going on. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
And we hope you will come back again. Dr. Looney kind of wants to make this quarterly, semester kind of thing, so that people get to know board members better and more. And
I think we need to do the men on the street and go to high schools and ask kids basic geography and history questions and film it. And
well, we'll let you lead that.
I will do that. I'll let you lead that.
We'll get a student, cameraman with you, or a photographer with you, and we'll go out and do that. Dr. Looney, thank you for hosting.
Yes, ma'am. It's always good to see you, Mark. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us for Education 101.
Too many of Tennessee's students drop out of high school. If you ask them why, you'll probably hear they just can't keep up because they don't have the reading skills. Success in school is based on success in reading, and learning to read starts with hearing words. With young children, storybook reading plays a special and important role.
Great. What's the last word?
Mom.
Good.
Have fun with reading. Read the directions on the box and bake a cake together. Work with your child to cut coupons and make a grocery list. Read a book about different occupations. Then ask your child what they would like to be when they grow up.
What about an eye doctor, just like your granddaddy?
My eye doctor is much more. He works with some glasses.
He does.
Don't underestimate the impact that reading can have on your child's future. Choose success. choose reading. This Choose Success moment has been brought to you by the Middle Tennessee P16 Council.